Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna do a couple of videos, just kind of back to back. Obviously I post my videos, I'm getting comfortable here. I post my videos at 5 every day, honestly because that's what time I watch YouTube. Like I go to the, well, lately I haven't been going to the gym, but on a regular day I go to the gym around 5, like right after work, and then that's when I watch my YouTube videos, so that's why I post them at 5. And I'm trying to get into the schedule of doing like Monday, Thursday, but just because we're in this predicament here, I'm doing a couple of extra videos here and there. Just about, coping with all of this, how to be a music therapist, how to be a good music therapist, how to be profitable. These are all really important concepts, because like I'm going to give you the manager perspective. Dr. Megan, MBA, the poor doctor, MBA edition, is recommending to furlough therapists, and maybe not even furlough them, like especially if we're working in a nonprofit. Like I'm not furloughing you, we don't have enough money in the budget to begin with. And then here we go, the poor doctor music therapist, well, I got bills to pay and I'm not getting paid that much as it is. I don't necessarily have an emergency fund that can last me, more than a month. I need a job. And we're going to take that, I need a job, I need to keep my music therapy job, I need to be an asset to the company, and we're going to be like increasing your chances of being an asset, keeping your job, getting paid for what you do. And that's like really important during a time like this, because it is NBA poor doctor, we are in a financial crisis. And music therapist, poor doctor. Well, I don't really care if we're in a financial crisis. I have bills to pay, like, you know, and my work is valuable, and that's where we're at right now. And so we're going to talk about actually what's going on, and this is like from what I've heard and from facilities that I work at. Right now I'm working at a private practice. But I've worked at a lot of jobs, and I'm not old, okay? Like, I'm actually fairly young. The reason why I worked at all these places is because I didn't really like them. So most of these jobs I didn't stay at for more than I stayed at rehab for a year and a half, and that was like the longest job. Every other job was like 6 months. 8 months, 9 months, like, and then you have to remember too that most of these jobs were freelance jobs, they weren't full-time. So that's another reason. I know that's not really good, but I mean, it's 2020, like, and people, what am I, a Gen Z? Yeah, technically I fall into the millennial category because most of my friends are millennials, but technically I fall into the Gen Z, and that's what happens. Gen Zers, we just jump from job to job to job because companies don't like give you anything. If you stay at a company for like 40 years, especially like music therapists, right? Like in that field, you don't get a pension, you don't get tenured anymore. So might as well just jump from company to company and see what you like. That's my philosophy. Now if you're in a different field like business or finance, or maybe you are trying to get into the music therapist as a professor point, and you could potentially get like a pension and tenured if you start now, but it's just a long way to go, and I don't know if the return is worth the investment. Again, business terms, but it's okay. So let's talk about today, living at work. That's the topic, living at work. Now, Like I mentioned before, I worked in a lot of different facilities, and I'm going to bring up two of my experiences. So, my first experience was at my internship. It was at a hospital, and it was a private state, well, it was a state, yeah, private state-run hospital. And they often, so what ended up happening, and I thought that this hospital, this this internship was like the best on the face of the earth. Um, and it really made working difficult because no like job compared to the internship. So it was almost like the internship was so great, and then every job was like down here. But I'm just going to give you guys a little perspective. So at my internship, they had teams, and I think they had like team A, team B, team C, and it was like 20, about like 20 people on each team. I was an intern, so like I didn't know all the logistics, but that's kind of the main point. And then whenever they had an emergency, like snow, for example, because this was in New Jersey, technically it was in Central Jersey for those Jerseyites out there, but for me, who was not coming from New Jersey, I considered it North Jersey. It was like so much colder than Pennsylvania. It wasn't humid, and it snowed a lot more than I was used to. So what happened was when it would snow and there was like an emergency, they would have 20 people. The 20 people from Team A would do this snowstorm, and the 20 people from Team B would do the next snowstorm, and the 20 people from Team C following. You know, so they rotated. And I don't think anybody stayed on campus, but like if you did need to stay on campus for some reason, like let's say you couldn't drive or you drove a car like mine and like it was low to the ground, then they had apartments like on campus. So they had like on campus apartments for staff. That's where I lived because I was an intern and I was only there temporarily. But they did have like on campus housing. They also weren't too far from the local hospital. So I'm sure that like if for some reason you couldn't travel into the town or you couldn't travel home for some reason, unless like they didn't have housing at the hospital, you could go to the local hospital, and they had plenty of hotels over there. So, but that was about, because everything was kind of far from each other. So that was about 7 miles. Like the local hospital was about 7 miles, I would say, from our clinic, and we were like a small hospital, right? Because we were a specialized hospital. That's why. So, but I don't, from what I remember, like, I don't think that most people, like, I don't think those 20 people, like, stayed on campus, but, like, they had rooms for you if need be, and then, if a heads up, like, any hotel that's near, like, a local hospital or, like, a really important hospital, usually if you tell them that you're, like, oh, I'm a music therapist, I work at this facility, usually they'll give you like a 30% discount, and that's like my next topic. So I worked in the emergency room at another hospital, and this was like a national hospital, like really, really good. They had a couple of different locations, and at this particular location, they had a hotel across the street, and they used to give discounts like 30% off. And now the hotel wasn't really that expensive to begin with, just to let you guys know. It was like 120, which is like cheap since it's close to the city. And they used to give like 30 to 40% off for doctors, right? So like doctors, nurses, we all got like a discount. And I always thought it was interesting that the doctors requested a discount, but that's besides the point. But they did give us discounts, and there was like, it was like a days, like they had like a days inn, right, Holiday Inn, and then they had like a nicer like Marriott, so like they had two. So but both of them gave discounts for hospital workers. So at both, and then also at the emergency room, of course, they had rooms reserved for like, well, for me, for the residents, like, like you could sleep at the hospital, and that's what like residents do. That's what like surgeons do. They sleep at the hospital, or like if they're on call, they'll sleep in the hotel if they live like far away, for example. So it's not uncommon. Um, but at both of those facilities, they had designated places for staff, and like if they got overflowed, they had a backup plan. Um, Now there are a lot, because like this is a major pandemic. There are a lot of places that aren't necessarily set up that way, and from what I heard, um, couple places I used to work, couple places that my friends work at, they're doing like staff lock-ins where the staff, I'm just telling you the worst case scenario, like the staff sleep in like a gym like setting. Um, and yes, I slept in a gym like setting when I was on tour. Um, but sometimes, and then I guess, yeah, in college, you know, I used to sleep on people's floors all the time. But the point of the matter is that like, there weren't carriers of this virus. There weren't like, you didn't have to sleep 6 feet apart. And I'm sorry, but like, I don't, how is it possible to have like 50 staff sleep on a gym floor 6 feet apart? Like, that doesn't, the measurements don't work out. So like, part of me gets like, I understand that you need to have like essential people like sleeping over, like, and that's what happens in a hospital. It's not uncommon. But the thing that worries me is that like, sleeping on a gym floor with everybody else, like, there's no way that you're 6 feet apart. I mean, even if I slept, let's say I slept over at the emergency room, right, in the resident doctor's rooms, like, those were like dorm rooms where there were like two beds and they were on opposite sides of the room. Um, it's not 6 feet apart, but it's pretty close. But I don't know, it just like makes me a little nervous, and I'm gonna be, again, MBA, poor doctor MBA. The market is not doing too well, and jobs are scarce, and music therapy jobs are going to be scarce because people aren't going to be able, it's a luxury, people aren't going to be able to afford it, companies aren't going to be able to afford it. So, Miss Music Therapist, the poor doctor music therapist, well, okay, like, jobs are going to be scarce, so maybe I should just bite the bullet and like just like sleep on the gym floor with everyone else all crammed in there, and work, because like, I want to show them that I'm a good and I'm a valuable employee. Yes, yes, right. But you also have to put your own, you also, here we go, middle person, whoever that may be, you have to put your health at, like, first. I mean, like, if you're a music therapist or any healthcare worker, and you're supposed to like sleep in this type of situation, and let's say like you're 1 month pregnant, that's not good. Let's say like you're young, right, and you're fresh out of school. Well, I hate to, like, yeah, okay, you're at your peak, but like, but young, you know, fresh out of school people, fresh out of school educators that work in preschools or elementary schools, they get sick like all the time their first year because their body isn't used to, you know, working with kids, and all that comes with all the germs that come with that. And same thing goes if you're a music therapist and you're working in a hospital. Like, you are gonna get sick your first year of work because like your body's not used to it. So maybe, you know, you're 22 and you're at your prime. Well, you're not necessarily at your prime for that population. So it's really hard. And listen, I am here to support whatever your choice may be, but I think you need to put it into perspective that yes, like, jobs are going to be limited, especially music therapy jobs. It's going to be really, really hard to be a music therapist and get a new job if you leave this current one. But you also have to remember the risk. And you have to make sure, like, is the risk really worth it? Like, you could be, you know, you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting your family at risk, you're putting your roommates at risk, your family. Like, it's a lot to think about. And then also another factor, and this is, I'm going to explore this in my next video because I do record videos back to back. Next thing to talk about is that if you are sleeping over as a music therapist, you're not going to be doing music therapy. They're probably going to pull you to work in the residence halls. They're probably going to pull you to do certified nursing assistant stuff. And certified nursing assistant responsibilities suck. And I'm going to go into detail in another video about it. But the point of the matter is that you're not going to be doing music therapy anymore. You're probably going to be assisting. You're probably going to be like a personal caretaker. You're probably going to, like, you know, help clients in that way, and the music therapy sessions are going to become less. So that's something to think, that is gonna happen, okay? Like, I don't care what people are telling you, like, that is what's gonna happen, because that's what they need. They need staff. They need to have so many staff per client at some of these facilities, and, like, they're gonna need you to change the bed, like, to change the sheets. They're gonna need you to do the laundry. They're gonna need you to cook, and you might be doing, like, I don't know, in a day, you might be doing 1 to 2 hours of music therapy, and then the rest of the day is going to be like nursing stuff. And that's something to take into consideration as well, because, you know, personally, if my facility made me sleep, like do a lock-in and sleep at the facility, and I'd only be doing like an hour's worth of music therapy, and then doing all nursing stuff like afterwards, even though the job market is bad, I wouldn't stay, because then you also run the risk, like, CNAs get paid less than music therapists, so you run the risk of them adjusting your pay accordingly, and then it's really not worth it, because then it's like, oh, well, now you're paying me $12 an hour, well, I can go work at McDonald's for $12 an hour, you know what I'm saying? So you really got to take all the factors into consideration. Understand your health is the major priority. Like, that's going to sound so selfish, but in healthcare, we need to be selfish. I think that isn't expressed enough. You need to be selfish in healthcare, because you can't be the best that you can be. You can't help the clients if you're sick or if something is wrong. So your health is number one priority. Number one priority, health. And then second is, of course, the pay. Because the job market is plummeting, because the stocks are plummeting, because, you know, X, Y, and Z and bills are still going to be expected to be paid, even though this whole thing is going on. Those bill people, like, don't care about your personal life. Even if there's a pandemic going on, they really don't care. So you need to pay the bills, and if you're putting yourself at risk and then find out that, you know, you weren't getting paid, or you weren't getting treated, or, you know, you start doing responsibilities that, like, aren't really in your job description, like, you gotta draw the line at some point, because if you, again, I hate to say it, but, like, I understand that this is an emergency, and I understand that you're short-staffed, but that is not your job, okay? You are not a manager, you are not on the board, you do not get paid the big bucks. So, like, if they're short-staffed, and, like, oh my gosh, I have to be there because they're short-staffed. No, you don't have to be there. You are a music therapist. You have a bachelor's degree in music therapy. You have a master's degree in music therapy. You are an intern. You do not get paid the big bucks, okay? The healthcare administrators, the people on the board, they're the ones that have to deal with how many staff are working per client. They're the ones that have to worry about this stuff, not you. It is not your responsibility. So do whatever you need to do for yourself in order to keep yourself safe. I advocate for telemusic therapy. Music therapy through Skype, Zoom, FaceTime. I think it's much better than pre-recorded music therapy. But I advocate telemusic therapy, and I think that you guys should do the same thing. I do not recommend getting locked in as a music therapist, because you are not going to be doing music therapy stuff if you're locked in. That's just the way it is. And if you want to keep your job as a music therapist, you want to show that you're an asset to the company, I think advocating for telemusic therapy, advocating for doing music therapy sessions during this time through technology, I think that that's the best way to go. And that's what I'm saying. That's the best way for you to help, to be an essential to the company, to be essential to the clients without putting yourself, your family, or the clients at risk. And there is what I have to say. I know my feelings are very, very strong, but I worry and I care, and I don't like when people are treated poorly. Like, it's like doctors. I mean, like, doctors are on call, doctors sleep at hospitals, doctors have to physically be there, doctors will have to do a lock-in, okay? But doctors also make like 200,000 like annually. You know, like, doctors get paid like 200 to 300 an hour. And you're not a doctor, okay? Like, that, it is not like in the doctor handbook board, you know, like, they always have to be a doctor. They always have to be there regardless of whether they're working or not. They always have to help, you know, like in a restaurant. Like, if somebody's choking, hey, is there a doctor here? Like, you have to help as a doctor. But as music therapists, we don't have that responsibility, okay? Most of our board certification responsibilities fall into the category of ethics, fall into the category of helping patients, fall into the categories of music. Like, you do not have to jump out of your seat for an emergency as a music therapist. It's not even like board certified. It's not in the description. So if you need to take time, not get locked in, but do telemusic therapy, like, you're still being the best music therapist that you can be, and you're still being an asset to the company. And I think that's really, really important to emphasize and advocate and share. And that's why I'm doing this video. Okay, I hope everything goes well for you guys. And listen, I will support, if anybody wants to comment down below, I am here to support. Even if you decide to do the lock-in, like, I'm here to support you, okay? Like, I'm just voicing my concerns right now, but my overall goal is to support all music therapists and potential music therapists and master's level, doctor music, any music therapist out there. That's my goal, to support you guys and advocate for you and share my opinions, because maybe sharing this stuff will help in the long run. I hope it does. I hope it makes our jobs a lot easier moving forward. Okay, love you all. Talk to you later. Bye.